Welcome to Foot Bold Analysis. Bold as in you understand, and of course I try to be as bold and straightforward as possible. Having said that, while I'm here in the bubble of the ISL, Indian Super League, I am trying to contribute from my side and try to use my time as good as possible, and I will do some analysis on certain games. I will not choose every game, but to try to pick some games that would be interesting to analyze. I cannot use any video material, therefore I will use animations, and I will only look into key moments in the game. Also, I want to try to keep it as short as possible and be as objective as possible. So I'm not going to fill in the way how I would find solutions or do things. Of course, I will here and there give some ideas on how I would do it, but at the same time I try to be as objective as possible, and hopefully as a supporter or anyone who's watching can do his benefit with it. Let's dive right into it, to the analysis, and hopefully you enjoy. Cheers. All right, last night game, Jamshedpur versus Odisha, two teams that had to win. They lost both their opening game. It was, of course, one of the more exciting games, to be honest, that I saw till now. Let's first look at the lineups. Jamshedpur changed to a 4-3-3 instead of a 4-2-3-1, and Odisha stuck to the same system, 4-2-3-1, but had some differences in the lineup. A big positive for me here was the centre back that came inside. That was Tret, if I'm correct, he's Australian. What you saw in the last game is that the build-up from the back was a bit of a problem for Odisha. They played long balls, and I said it before, if you want to use Marcelino, there need to be more build-up, and that was absolutely an improvement. Secondly, the change from last game, where they had problems with Marcelino and the Brazilian striker that came inside, scored a goal, and Onwu, how to fit them in. And the change was that Onwu started up front. This was from the beginning clearly an improvement. Now, what we need to look at is that, as I said, that Tret came inside together, of course, with the other defender, Taylor. They were pretty solid in organizing their defense. They were pretty compact. There were not too much spaces, and it's not like Jamshedpur was creating lots of chances. But the good thing was also, but as a tactical point to look at, is that every time when there were small back passes or dribbles, they kept the team pretty compact. That's a big positive and a big progress, in my opinion, for Odisha, because I always looked at the team, how stretched are you? That's one of the things that means stretch means how much spaces do you give away, and that was, for instance, with Jamshedpur the second half a bit the problem. If we look further, a problem for Odisha was both sides. They had two right footers on the left side, and a thing to improve for Odisha is, especially when maybe they get all their players fit, is to keep the ball a bit more in the team. What you saw, and of course I can only give it through examples on screenshot in this case, is that, for instance, here where you see where they're trying to play the ball possession, changing the ball to the side, where you see here the left wing back, who's a right footer, goes inside basically very well, explores the space, but then starts shooting from 20-25 meters, and the ball will not nearly even get on target. And what the key here is, you see already Marcelino with his hands in his thighs, like, okay, this is going to go wrong. This is really something that Indian players need to learn, is to recognize your qualities. People will say, if you don't shoot, you will never get something, but I can guarantee you, try this 20 times, I think 90 times it goes wide over, and one time maybe a little bit close to the goal. This is really something that needs to be addressed many times. I saw it also the day before. So the issue here is, Great dribble, good coming inside. He draws in Monroy. That means Marcelino is completely free. And in this case, he should play. Marcelino has a good shot. And then even you can make that deep run, create confusion. These are small things that make a huge difference in progressing your game. Another example is here, you see it here, and it was the same in the first and second half. You see here the ball is played into the midfield, where it is important that if you get under pressure, to keep the ball, to shield the ball. And I always say in this area, don't lose the ball. These build the confidence of the team. And yeah, that ball is lost easily, and right away from there you get counter attacks, and that is frustrating. Example number 3, same here, a winger who comes inside, ball gets played in, and he's under pressure, and because of under pressure, here one of the Jamshedpur players drops in a little bit and gets pressure from Monroy, I think it is, and they lose the ball here, and you get right away this counter attack. So these small things, they really need to improve for Odisha to make that next step. Big improvement defensively, created some chances. What's name? Onwu starting from the striker. So there is improvement, but those small moments of keeping the ball and that come from crossing, that come from holding the ball that I just showed you. There needs to be, the next step needs to be made. You can see here, if lose the ball, how open here Valskes is. So by simply losing a simple ball, and that's I try to point out. The next thing is, of course, we point out here that the striker comes inside. Even for next game, it's maybe an idea to play with Onwu and this striker who came inside, the Brazilian. But I will show you here where the Brazilian, even in other games, hopefully this clip will not get cancelled for the internet, copyright. But it was not a coincidence. I studied the striker before, this guy, all his goals. He's creative, has a dribble, and you can see how he scores here the goal. It's almost similar to, it was a little bit more into the box, but he has that quality, and it's all about fitting in certain qualities. For Jamshedpur, I will be very short. What I saw, it was in the, around the 54th minute, where here Hartley, together with Monroy, they were having a huge discussion, and it took like 2-3 minutes. This led to a corner eventually, and you can, what I want to point out here is that Hartley was not happy with the defense in the midfield, and they were having a discussion, and it took like 2 or 3 minutes. They kept communicating. Now, I know that Monroy is a type of player who wants to play football. The second half, they were more under pressure, so they had less of the ball. You get irritation there, and I think the midfield was not really tracking back well. You can see it here where they, after the corner, so this is 2 minutes later, if I'm correct, let me check the timing. So it's like a minute into, after the corner, they are still discussing with each other. And before that, they were already discussing. And not make a big deal out of this, but I always look at certain details that are important. Now, this is not something to make a problem of, but I'm sure that disagreement was a part of where I saw is that all the 3 midfielders of Jamshedpur, they were not tracking back properly. It was not with the full conviction to close spaces. And I only want to point out here in this example here, where those 3 midfielders from Jamshedpur, were too late. Maybe it's fitness, that could be, but overall, what is a key thing here is the distance between the striker and the last defenders. That space has to be compact. Sometimes that has to do with that the defensive line starts stepping back, or your midfield is not, putting enough pressure on the opponent's midfield. And without making it a big deep analysis, I think that part was an issue for Jamshedpur. But most importantly, of course, after the red card, it became more difficult for them to play with 10. But overall, I think a great comeback for Odisha, and Jamshedpur still has to work on some issues. But for me, the most important thing to point out was this game, that Odisha made a lot of progress, and hopefully they keep continuing like that.